and I'll be your MC for today. Let me quickly run you guys through the schedule of today. We will start off the event by having our general sponsor to have their product presentation. Then we have an opening speech by our organizing chairman, and I'll give a quick introduction of the forum theme and panelists. And we will have one first session of the forum at approximately 9:45 a.m. and we will take a tea break around 11:15 a.m. We will then continue second part of the forum after the tea break, and we will end around 1 p.m. Okay, first we would like to have our sponsor from Jordan Paint Sdn Bhd, Sika Kimia Sdn Bhd, and Nairo Ceramics Sdn Bhd to have a 10 minutes product presentation. Please welcome Tom and Eileen from Jordan Paint to give us a paint product presentation.
Hi, good morning everybody.
Hello.
Hello. And here,
And
I'm Eileen from Jordan Paint and my girlfriend. Tom. Okay, actually I only have 10 minutes, it's very fast. Okay, so in between, for this 10 minutes, I do have a quiz and have some gift, and you all must focus, stay focused. Okay, first of all, for quiz, what is my name? Okay. Okay, before that, you all know Jordan from where? Oh, but don't say anything. Jordan from where?
Sweden.
Huh?
Sweden.
Start with N, not Madrid or Milan, Huh?
the place you makan salmon. Got a lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
Norway. Okay, so we are global player in whole world. So we have more than 90 years experience in paint and coating. So actually in over the 100 country, we have 40 production facility. We have more than 100 employees, and we have 7 R&D centers in the whole world. Okay. Okay. In Southeast Asia, we have 7 paint factory. We have 7 powder factory in 9 company and 9 countries. So in Malaysia, we are one of the R&D center. So we are very lucky because we are the R&D center to develop new product for Southeast Asia to cater Southeast Asia environment.
If got chance, maybe we can arrange another trip. Welcome. Jordan factory is welcome you all.
We can have a tour factory for
Oh, you want pay some more a bit?
So actually we started in Singapore in 1971, in Malaysia in 1983. So in 2016 we formed Singapore and Malaysia, so we call Liger. You know what is Liger? Just a guess. What's Liger? Pandai. Nanti I give you. Okay, so we have 2 factories, one in Milai, one in Shah Alam. So, solvent factory and powder factory is in Milai. So we have this paint decorative factory in Shah Alam. So I think we did organize one tour visit for ALM before in Shah Alam. Yeah, just beginning of the year. Okay. So in Jordan, we cover 4 segments. Decorative paint is like indoor and outdoor paint. And this marine coating is our core business. We started from marine coating in 1926. So the third one is protective coating. This one is very famous for those like fire paint, luminescent paint. So we do have this powder coating. So in powder coating, I think we are the first one. We have 3 coating for the full system for fire coating. Primer with the fire paint, with the finishing paint for one system. Okay, lastly is the powder coating. Powder coating is like those, the building profile. This one, the aircon powder coating, fridge powder coating. Okay. So we provide single source solution. Like for example, for this building, we cover for steel protection, information coating, means that fire coating, decorative coating, powder coating, and we do have this concrete protection for this building also, and floor coating as well, and architecture coating. Okay, so we provide single solution. For example, if you all have any project and factory, you all can using the formula. Okay. So okay, today we just talk about decorative coating for our new technology product. Every year we we do have those like new innovation product that we work. Okay. So I just brief through about what we have for exterior and interior paint and wood and metal. So you all now want to know more in detail, you all can call me. Okay. So for exterior we have Color Extreme for 12 years warranty. Ultra Clean, this is our new technology paint with anti-dirt self-cleaning. So if you all want to have if let's say your client want a bright, beautiful, clean house, so I would recommend you for this Ultra Clean. Later I'll show you the video how it's work. And then interior we do have 3 types. Fantastic, the premium washable paint. Essence Easy Clean, this one more normally those for flexi washable paint. The last one is the most basic emulsion paint, we call Jota Plus Matte. And wood and metal we do this Majestic Supreme finish is water based, Gardex Premium is stone based, and this wood shall overshield that for those wood timber. Okay. Sorry, I'm very fast. Okay, 10 minutes. Okay, and then this is our exterior paint. Okay, so this is the one is very proud Jotun because we have this new technology with anti-dirt technology. This is left and right. So, okay, this one we have low dirt pickup and dirt strip resistant and self-cleaning. I'll show you the videos.
Memperkenalkan Jota Shield Ultra Clean, cat yang anti kotoran. Tiada lagi kekotoran
Satu Malaysia Melayu.
kerana dihapuskan secara malah kotoran dan ilmu tidak akan kekal lama. Ini kerana dia membersih dengan sendirinya setiap kali hujan turun. Tiada jalur-jalur kotoran, tiada kesan tumpukan, hanya warna cat pada dinding anda. Itulah kecanggihan teknologi untuk kelihatan seperti baharu dicat setiap hari. Jota Shield Ultra Clean menangkis kotoran dan membersih bersama hujan.
Okay, this one because the paint film is a bit harder than others of conventional product, so the dust is not easy to stick on the wall. So when the dust stick on the wall, with heavy rain will wash away the dust. Okay. Okay. Actually, our products we do have a lot of third-party test report. So from that, let's say your client needs any requirement test report, I will provide you all in future. Okay, we do have this Singapore green building, and we do test for this UV with this one zone R acceleration. This one is very what's it?
Geon test actually is for UV
UV
test. Like we provide warranty for UV resistant. So this is a test that how many hours then you will get the for the colors. For example, Jordan color, to be honest, Jordan color is very stable and we have limited colors. Because all the color we have tested before we launch. So whatever colors that fail to this Geon, then we definitely we are not allowed to selling in the market. For example, pink color, purple color, apple green, those striking colors, actually cannot fulfill for 8 years warranty. So we cannot provide it. But for internal, yes.
Okay, we talk about interior. We do have one new product this launched last year. Okay. It's called Majestic Set. This one with clean air technology. So, okay. This one we have odorless and luxury smooth, and this one can cover highlight crack. So it's very suitable for those contractor on our house because this one it covers highlight crack and then can avoid those, and we can have this antibacterial. Okay, how it works? So this one, the binder can absorb the formaldehyde. So because everything like all these kayu or those like preservative, kayu preservative, so we can absorb all the formaldehyde. And then with this with this binder, the chemically neutralize the formaldehyde and then will release the harmless vapor out. Okay.
Actually, all this formaldehyde is something that we smell. Like for example, today I take my Proton X50 and everyone going, bau baru, greater baru. So actually those things, the plastic is not very good. So the paint firm actually able to absorb all this formaldehyde and release in the better one, better for and pure.
So with low VOC, so actually we have all this third party result lah. We pass on Singapore Green Label and date 4.1. Okay, besides low VOC, we also offer this one, formaldehyde and abandon. If you can see, we do have all these tests from third party. Okay, so from this experiment, we did the experiment with this cardboard with the paint and without the paint. After 8 hours, the formaldehyde reading is more than 1.6 mg. So this one with the paint is only 0.375. Okay, we have this reading, but unfortunately today I cannot bring this machine. So all Jotun paint is water based, all is under green compliant. So we have lead mercury formaldehyde free.
Let me add on something for sharing for the meditation stand. Actually, we have the test report from the Australia, which is aspar free and also allergic free. That this is what we get from the Australians.
Okay. So we have all this certificate green label, proceeding and green label index for all the product.
Okay, one question. Got give for painting parts for GPI's building, how many points we can get from the paint?
Ada LV.
Oh, LV Try. A little bit only.
How many points?
How many points? 100 maybe you can get. My finger.
Sit down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They got LV leh.
Call the key.
Okay, actually it's a 2 point.
Yes, but then from where?
See, I think we are going some time.
Okay, so what is our service is when you all have any product, any new project, I can give you a product specification. I will provide a color proposal with putting advice and technical service. Technical service more normally is somewhat by top. Okay. So this one is like for color, and this is our color scheme. Okay. Normally technical. Okay. Before we start the printing job, Tom will go to the site to take this photometer to test on the moisture content. So the moisture content is the reading is more than how many percent? Until 100%. Moisture content cannot be more than 100%. 16%. Oh, okay. So beside that, we will do a check. Check dilution, check aggregation, moderate, because normally we just want to control the quality. So we do a spot check to check the painter whether the paint is using Jotun or not. Okay. Then we will give a documentation report to the developer to that. This one, I think you all know already.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, last one. Project reference to need we got a lot of project reference. Okay, the last, this one is very important. Why we need paint? Besides kecantikan, why we need paint? What's the function for paint? Cepat.
Oh, channel.
Sekarang got chocolate inside. I will show you all. This one is okay. Anti-carbonation is very important. Last video.
Designers around the world are pushing the boundaries. Their skills and effort inspire the construction industry to greater heights, to produce more than just buildings and structures, but masterpieces built to stand the test of time and withstand harsh environmental conditions day after day. One of the biggest threats to the durability of these structures is the high level of carbon dioxide emissions.
This is what I say. Why we need paint?
Carbon dioxide penetrates the concrete, and as it comes into contact with the moisture inside, the process of carbonation is triggered. This process lowers the alkalinity of the concrete, which leads to the depletion of the protective oxide layer around the steel reinforcement bars in the concrete, causing the steel to corrode and weaken its structure. The thicker the layer of concrete, the more protected it is from carbonation. But it's not always practical to have thick concrete walls. That's where an anti-carbonation paint is a solution. The anti-carbonation paint acts as a barrier to the penetration of carbon dioxide inside the concrete. It's also breathable. It lets the moisture inside come out, while preventing water from outside going in, thus retarding the process of carbonation. But all this won't help if the paint film cracks, which will then allow water and carbon dioxide to easily penetrate the surface, triggering carbonation.
Okay. So paint, all our paint exterior is anti-carbonation paint. Okay? Thank you. I got a lot of CDs. No time to do.
Alright. Thanks to Tom and Elaine. Next, let's have Trisky from Sika Kimia Sdn Bhd to share us knowledge of the product.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. I'm Christy from Sika KL branch. So with me together is Ling Zi. She's actually handling the Sika Norden. So if any info, right, you can get from Ling Zi. Okay. So today I will just give a very short brief regarding Sika, whatever we could have. So before I start to the product company intro, I also have a question, and we also have a gift. So anyone know that where is origin of Sika? Can bring to site. Any idea? Origin of Sika. I give some tips. Anyone wearing Rolex?
Three scissors.
Then the gift have to give to you already.
I got
Yeah, actually for your information, Sika Kimia is actually origin from Switzerland. Okay, we have more than 100 years of expertise in construction. Of course, we are also active in worldwide. If you all have any overseas project, can look for us. We can ask our overseas colleague to assist. So, but a lot of people, when they see this triangle, right, we thought Sika only doing for waterproofing. But for your information, as you can see, we have 8 target market. The first, the concrete. This concrete is actually, we supply the additive and mixture to the concrete plant. And then we have the waterproofing product, which is specifically for those basement, internal bedroom. And I'm actually personally from this roofing department. But doesn't mean that we have the metal deck or the clear roof tile. We are doing the waterproofing for the roof usage, which is including the sheet membrane, something like this, preform type, or the liquid coating, like the paint one. Apply layer by layer. And then also we do have the floorings and coating, which is like floor hardener, epoxy, PU, even anti-static or ESD floor. We also have, especially in Penang, right? I think you all have a lot of forensic investment factoring project. There we require to have a special coating on top of their clean room those special requirement temperature shock requirement flooring coating. And of course, we do have a sealing and bonding. This one is actually emphasize those sealant we spec for those construction job or extension job to your building. And then refurbishment is more like strengthening, routing, like your Comta, Penang Bridge. Their upgrading work, right, is actually using Sika, strengthening. And also we have a building finishing. So this building finishing is actually including like screening. We have the pre-pack. Plaster, we also have the pre-pack. And also this is including the tile adhesive and also the tile ground. So the last is actually industry. This is out from construction. We supply the sealant to bus, train, BMW, all these things, and also marine. So we actually exist in world since 1910. Sika Malaysia is actually first established in 1989, and as you can see, we are acquired Parex therefore in 2019. That's why we have a lot of range for the tile adhesive, tile grouting, and recently we acquired this MBCC, Master Builder Solution, in this year. So slowly you will see Master Builder product will come all under Sika Kingdom. Okay, I will say for MBCC, right, their flooring, the epoxy will be the most famous. And also, I'm actually personally from this Petaling Jaya sales office. I report that this branch. So Linzer is actually from the Penang. And of course, if you have other region, you still can contact us. Johor, East Malaysia, all we do can support you from the other teams. So because today, due to the limitation of time, I don't really have much time for us to brief you in terms of the product. I will try my best to let you all know what we can offer for your project. So here is a key project that we complete for them. So this is majority, we supply the concrete solution. We're using all this range. Okay, it's a very significant project. So my tech also. Is there anyone from KL here? Oh, I believe you confirm every time when there is a jam, you will pass by here. Okay, so just for your information, the finishes here, although it's a facade, but underneath all this facade, is actually using our waterproofing, this kind of membrane. Yes, because Sanafil is a PVC type preform membrane. So with this membrane, right, you can achieve the A type and also waterproof performance. As you can see, this is the product range that we use. It's total about 55,000 meters square. And then also IY City Mall Phase 2. I think right now this is the most largest shopping mall in Malaysia in terms of the size. So for their basement and their podium, they are actually using this membrane because Sika Shield, or previously Sika BW15, now we renamed to Sika Shield W159. So all these basement, they are using the membrane, preform membrane. It's a bituminous co-applied. No need to use the fire to burn, right? Yes, exactly something like this. And also the next, this is the rubber gauze. It's actually located at Penang. So they do the car park system. Because their roof here, they are using a single cast. So it's actually no way for us to allow another waterproofing layer in between. That's why you only can use a one-stop solution, which means after the concrete is cast, my product is going to come in, I'm going to apply the primer, waterproofing, and then the flooring coating. So we say one-stop solution. So some more this system, right, we can counter, we call the dynamic cracks solution. Okay. And also this is also some key project from our TF refurbishment, which is specialist in this strengthening up. But mostly this will we may need the calculation from engineer to provide you the size and the installation. So for your information, if you all have any building upgrading, right, you can look for us. We will have a team to support you. And also we can provide some demo and site as well. So, and then the last will be the tile adhesive. This is actually they're using our tile adhesive for all this area underneath the tile. It could be nylon tile, maybe. So you can use our tile adhesive and also our sealant to shape. So then the last, this one will be from the industry department. This is what we say. We do supply all these materials to like train, marine, bus, those car automotive. So for your information, Linzer did prepare a summary chart inside this goodies bag, yellow color. We have a solution for all these summarized waterproofing from basement to the rooftop. And as you can see, because we have a wide range, I would say Sika is the most comprehensive solution provider in Malaysia. Example, for RC rooftop, you can have a wide range. For metal deck, you can also have a wide range. So most of the time, we have to understand your project requirement. Let us study your floor plan, let us study your requirement, your client budget. Then only we can propose accordingly. So for your the most easiest is give a call to Linzi. She will be the one to prepare the proposal to you. Okay? And also this is all the technology that we have. That's why Sika, we do have an integrated system. This is mostly will be the admixture thing they add into the concrete. And then we do have the preform membrane. It's all prefabricated in the thickness, either 1.2, 1.5 or 2 mm. And then we do have the cementations, liquid applied coating for the solution for the crack repair and also the insulation. I think in Penang, you already start enforce the UVBR by law. For the RC flat roof, you have to fulfill 0.4 U value. So the only criteria is you have to add in this type of insulation board in order for you to achieve the 0.4 U value. Okay, so that's all for my part, for my session. But we still have, Linzer have another 2 questions for you all.
Just now we answered.
Oh, she answered already. Okay, so just a refreshment recap so that we can like deliver this free gift. Okay, can anyone tell us Sika did acquired 2 companies in this recent year?
Which two?
Which 2? Any idea? Forget already Davco and any idea? Davco we acquired before MCO. So now we can integrate.
And
We just acquired this year. Something 4 letter K. Yeah, just now she already give a tips. Start with the M.
Malaysia.
huh? Louder. 大声听不到。啊？MBS. MCC.
The MCC is actually a master degree. We are still in the process to integrate all the product into it. Okay? And then the other question from Lindsay will be
Who you can look for Northern Regions project?
Siapa? Oi, you answered. You got my name card, you know, in the bag, in the bag.
yeah, you all can actually get Lindsay contact inside the Louis bag. There is a name card attached together. So, and then the last question. What do you expect to understand from them?
Which waterproofing brand is the best?
Okay, I will say, who have the cross-selling solution between, I think Sika have provide all these flooring, plaster, waterproofing, insulation board. Then like just now I mentioned, what kind of flooring system that we could provide in Sika? Any idea? Just give us maybe 2 flooring, just a normal. What flooring system that we have?
What foreign range that we have?
Yes. Usually, what flooring you are going to specify for your project?
Now,
I think definitely you all need something. Yes, epoxy we do have. Each gentleman.
Oh,
And one more.
your gift is on the way. Fast. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because actually, I think we have all the solution. So for your easy and then to simplify your work task, I would say any help that you all need, just contact Sika. Once we get your floor plan, we will propose whatever we have. And I think recently we also quite active in Penang, especially for those industry projects. That will do need some high requirement on FM approval, anti-static, FM, all these standards, so that we have the system. We will be ready all the detail drawing, specification, build up in order. So that is for our part. Any question to Sika, Kimia? Oh, okay, understand. You all know what we have. Later, you all can actually visit our booth. We have a sample brochure, so if you want to know anything here, you can just come to us. Thank you.
Right. Thanks to Christy and Yingzi. So for the next one, welcome Brittany from Nylon Ceramic Senior Berhad to introduce the products.
Hello, a very good morning to you all. Hopefully, you all still have some capacity for Nylon. So, I'm ready for Nylon ceramic. So, without further ado, I can start the presentation now. Okay, so Nylon ceramic has been in the market for more than 40 years, and then by producing porcelain tiles. And originally, we are from Switzerland. Okay, and our product has preserved the Swiss heritage, and this allows us to maintain the product with the finest quality and also standards. So for Nylon ceramic in Malaysia, we have our HQ is based in Shah Alam, and our factory is based in Pasir Gudang. And next we have is our customer value propositions. So as a manufacturer, we always hope to deliver the best quality to our customers. So we have an QC team to check on our product before we deliver that out to our customers. And then we always looking into new technology and hope to apply them into our product. So we have introduced the slip stop technology tiles and also slim tiles with 6 mm. Okay, so today we have an experience corner in our booth. So later you may come over to have a look. And besides that, actually you also can visit our creative lab in Penang, which is located at Jalan Tangkor, besides CRC, to have a view on the actual tile size and also have a look on our sanitary ware brand Ori as well. Okay, currently we have about more than 40 creative lab in the whole Malaysia. Okay. And besides Malaysia, actually we also have our factory and offices in Indonesia, India, China, Vietnam, and also Philippines. So this is to make sure that we have sufficient supplies to our projects on hand. And then next we have is the slip stop technology tiles. So the specialty for slip stop technology tiles will be on their surface. So the surface will turn a bit rougher when they contact with water. Okay, so they have excellent anti-slip effects, and you got no worries of the maintenance wise because they are easy to clean and also maintain with stain resistance properties. And then they are applicable for the internal and also external area, especially areas that are close to water accumulations like toilet, pool deck. And then next we have is our slim tiles. So slim tiles with a thickness of 6 mm. Okay, 6 mm. And then this series they come in only one size, which is 600 by 1002. So they are thin and light. And then they are eco-friendly because lesser raw material were used during the productions, and they are also easy for applications. So they are applicable for the internal area usage. And then next we have is Nairo big slab tiles wood grande. So you can see that the sizes can start from 1002 by 1002 up until the largest size of 1006 by 3002. So they are applicable for the internal area as well. And recently, Nairo Ceramic Group is verified for the environmental product declaration EPDs for our Nairo granite and also Portino porcelain tiles in Malaysia and also in Indonesia. So, EPDs is a cradle to grave life cycles assessment was conducted by the CFC Global Services. So for EPDs products, right, they also contribute 1 credit to the LEDs certification for projects. No? And then from here you can see that we not only supply locally but also internationally. And next I'm sharing about Orin, our sanitary ware Orin products. So Orin has established in 2003 and they are verified with by ICRAM, CIPDs and also SPAM for the product efficiency and also qualities. And next, there is some trending product that I would like to share with you. The first one is the rimless bowl. And then here are the short videos. Okay, so that's all about for the rimless bowl. And then next we have is the Fulmer Commando wash down tissue. And here's the short videos. Okay, so that's all for the Orin trending product. Next. Okay, so Orin do supply for some major players in the industry such like JKR and also some big players like Ecover. Setia, some IOI properties and others like Jayamas as well. So that's all for the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rini. Now, let's invite our organizing chairman, PT Sun, to give us an opening statement. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Again, good morning and welcome to a very first Penang Graduate Architects Roundtable. And this is organized by Nelson Chapters. We are thrilled to have all of you here today. Today, this event is actually about sparking, engaging the discussions, and understanding the challenge faced by the young architect and aspiring architects, and to propose scalable actions for enhancing the future architecture professions. Through this event, we hope we can foster meaningful conversation that inspire positive change. Besides, I also want to take a moment to express heartfelt thanks to our amazing speakers and then sponsor and the partner of the teams who make this event happen. Your support means the world to us and show your dedications to grow the architecture professions. Let's make this the most of the opportunity to have some awesome conversation, share ideas, and shape the future of architecture together. And again, thank you all for being part of this exciting roundtable event, and let's get the show on the road. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Thanks, Vicky. Now, let me give some introduction of today's forum. The theme of today's forum is Future Form of Practice. And we have two sessions for today, one before the tea break, and another one after the tea break. The first session will talk about challenges faced by us in school, practice, and challenges that we foresee in the future. And after the tea break, we'll have more interactive session on opinions and ideas on the challenges that we discussed in the first session. So now, let's welcome our panelists and moderator to have seat in front. Our panelists and moderator, please. All right, let me introduce the panelists for today. First, we have Architect Effendi, hailing from Penang. He is receiving his Bachelor in Architecture from University Technology Malaysia. After spending multiple years in construction industry, he now acts as a head of program in the Diploma in Architecture Technology, as well as the program coordinator for Bachelor of Science Architecture Offshore Program, USM at Equator. And secondly, we have Architect Ren Yu, graduated from Glasgow School of Arts in 2018 with Master of Architecture. He has 6 years of working experience in the field of architecture, mostly involved in planning, designing, and supervising various types of healthcare and wellness projects, ranging from outpatient specialist clinic, inpatient ward, physiotherapy, up to highly complex operation theater and nuclear medicine. He is also the winner for PAM Student Award Silver Medal 2018 by PAM Architects Asia. Right. Thirdly, we have Dr. Chris. He is a senior lecturer in architecture program, HBP University Science Malaysia. He is currently the coordinator for Year 1 Design Studio. Prior to USM, he has 3 years experience in the architecture practice. Dr. Chris received his Bachelor in Architecture Part 1 and Part 2 and PhD from University Technology Malaysia. Alright. And next, we have Wang Jane. He spent his early career working as an architecture graduate and wore another hat as a design photographer under pseudonym TWJPTO during his weekend. Based in Penang and Kuala Lumpur, he has since transitioned fully to professional photography in early 2022 while enjoying his career sabbatical from the 9-to-5 architecture grind. By now, he has almost 10 years of experience shooting architectural and interior works all around Malaysia. Alright. Right, for the last, we have Hazimi. He's graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Architecture from University Science Malaysia and also pursued a Diploma in Architecture at Polytechnic Polymas. Currently, he works as an assistant architect in the design team at Veritas Design Group. He has been recognized for his academic achievement and received the Best Student Award in 2017 and 2022. Okay, for today's moderator, due to unfortunate incident by Yunus, we have Kai today as our moderator. And Kai actually graduated with a Master of Degree from Germany, and he has been working in Singapore before coming back to Penang. Since then, Kai has almost 6 years of working experience in architecture consultancy field, involved in projects of hotel, residential projects from designing a bungalow to housing scheme, public building, and so on. Alright, just a disclaimer before we start the forum. All the views, thoughts, opinions expressed in the event belong solely to the panelists only and do not represent their employer, organization, committee, or other groups of individuals. Now, let me pass the mic to our moderator today. Hi, please.
Thank you, Liu Ching. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kai. So, due to emergency reason, so we cannot have Yunus here. But just bear with me, but I mean that. Okay. So, today's topic is actually future form of practice, and the title of the event is actually Forward 2030, and it has a few definitions from that title itself. You can read it as year 2030 if you are looking forward to the future, or you can read it as between 20 years old to 30 years old, where I think most of you, the young faces here, are in that range. And we will be talking about challenges faced by young architects or young practitioners in the first session. We will start off with education. As we all know, in school, architecture school is well known for very hectic schedule, very demanding workloads by the lecturers. So, what is your personal experience or view on this, this subtopic? Anyone of you want to take the mic? Maybe we can start with Dr. Chris or Hazimi. Hello everyone, good morning. Assalamualaikum. Dr. Hao, Assalamualaikum. Okay, as you know, I'm Hazimi. You can call me Hazimi, fresh graduate from Vietnam. Back to our topic. Actually, there's a few challenges I've been facing. Maybe some of the students facing the same issues. The challenging is make us difficult to focus on our career. The first one is maybe financial problem. Certain people not coming from loaded families, so in this course it requires us a lot of money. Need to spend a lot of money for school. We are using a software, right? So you need to prepare yourself for laptop, computer. So everything is expensive because we need to run all the software. Need to demand high for spec. So it's very struggle for me. I'm not coming from loaded family, and it's very for those who have money, so the life become easier. Okay? And then what I'm seeing from my perspective, there is a few because I'm from diploma and degree, so I can compare these two journey lah. For example, during my diploma, I have experience on. I don't have any experience on software. I don't have any. I'm not coming from family doing architectures. I'm very fresh. Don't have any knowledge about that. And then when I come in diploma, so they also provide a workshop. A workshop is like practice for students to master in software. So during diploma, I have a professional certificate for AutoCAD and Revit. So they provide us class. I'm not saying that nak semua lecturer swap, tak. I'm saying that maybe we need some platform to help students to guide us. At least this thing can help students to make it life easier to complete their school project. During my degree, I don't have anything. Everything is totally by your own self. You need to learn by your own self. You need to research by your own self. You need to explore software on YouTube, to ask your friends. And then during that time also, it's MCO. It's a pandemic. So I kesian lah for my friends and my classmates, for those yang coming from Asasi Metric, they don't have any experience on software. So maybe there will be some advice lah later on. Okay. And then one more thing that I realized is there is too many of university course in university. Imagine there is every semester you have like 2 or 1 university course. I think it's very much, but terlalu banyak lah course in university. Maybe we can reduce it and focus on other things yang maybe can improve our professional skills. Maybe, yeah. And then after I study, I'm going up to working experience. So I realized that education just 10 to 20%. You're preparing for real world architecture kan. So big culture shock lah for me. Lepas tu totally different. And then I realized that our internship duration is quite short. It's just like 2.5 months only. What do you expect? You want me to learn everything during that time? So I think maybe can make it longer, at least for myself ataupun ada orang lain yang still need to decide, is this the right way for me? Is the right jalan yang I pilih ke? So they can decide before they end their part 1. Yeah, I think that's for my perspective. Yeah, thanks Azimi. Maybe we can have some perspectives from the educator, Dr. Chris or Architect Afandi, regarding the point given out by Azimi.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm the one who gives him a lot of things to do. All right. So I think what Hazimi has shared is it's very relevant. I think I was once a student too. A lot of workload, with regarding financial as well. Yeah, struggled during those times. Yeah. So I've been teaching here for around 2.5 years. So one thing that I see actually regarding because Hazimi is from diploma, there are some people who come in from matrix, some people coming from STPM. One thing that I noticed is that people who actually come from STPM, this is just to share my opinion. They're actually more more protected, I would say, compared to those who have been in diploma or who has been in matrix. Maybe because of when you study matrix and diploma, you actually study so-called abroad. It's not in your hometown. It's still not at your SMK or something. Right. So in terms of preparedness, in terms of how they work with each other, I think there's a difference there. Yeah. So I just want to share that point. And then regarding the subjects, yeah, I remember that we need to take some issue semester, there are some university subject which you think, oh, why are we taking those subjects? I think I agree with Azimi, because architecture, I think it's a very special course, which even within academics, they don't know like, oh, architecture, okay, it's just a normal subject, we go for tests, and all these things, but actually they do not know like what are the like for example studio, Monday and Friday, in USM you take a whole day, to greet people, it's like people can't really understand like how stressful it is. Yep, so they expect like these students to actually to catch all the similar subject. Okay, it's compulsory. Everyone must take how many credits for in order for the graduate. So actually, I agree. Like actually, burdens the student as well. Yeah. So hopefully in the future that we can see how, of course, it's just my opinion. I can't really like change the whole thing. It's up to me. Yeah. So, but hopefully that the lembaga or anyone can notice this, and they will make some exception for this architecture student. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Chris. Talking about critics during your presentation. So have you guys met some very harsh external critics before?
I think me and Dr. Chris, we're a bit more unique compared to the other panelists here because we came from a different time. Both of us are actually batchmates. We studied at the same time, graduated at the same time, just went in different ways after a bit, right? During our time, there were still some very, very harsh lecturers. I think now the situation has changed for the better because people from different generations have slowly transitioned, right? I'm sure if you've heard stories or experienced yourself, some lecturers were very harsh, throwing drawings and everything out. Very harsh, right? But I think that's not the way. It just falls back to our profession as a whole, right? Is related to construction, right? So the construction industry as a whole, right? Hello? The construction industry as a whole, right? Is very rush, right? So especially those who come from the industry, right? You would know that how rough the industry is, and then it transitions into our education as well, right? I think I actually appreciated the education process of how rough it is. It actually prepares you, especially when you go out and work on the site, right? If architecture to me, like architecture education is completely different. Like what Dr. Chris is saying, right? We have trouble explaining to different academicians about how the architectural design process is. The teaching process is different, right? For example, we are not evaluated based on an end product, right? You are evaluated on your process, right? You can come up with a good end product, but it's the process isn't there that it's not, right? But again, back, right? I think the industry has changed, right? Especially the education industry. Lecturers now are much more willing to guide you through compared. I think it's less harsh nowadays compared. I think Dr. Chris can say would agree with that as well.
Do not attract my students. Yeah, but yeah, what Andy mentioned about like last time, even our time actually. Okay, I'm 36 years old this year. Alright, so even our time, our lecturers are considered, I would say, quite mild already.
Yes.
Yeah, we heard from our seniors, right? Oh, this one throw away, crumple and throw away.
Our studio was on the 4th floor. Lecturer crumbled the drawing, opened the window, throw outside. And this was back when drawings were manual. So it crumbled up drawings means the whole week of work. Bye a year.
Yeah, so you said Hajimi, so shocked and frustrated. yeah, but imagine if we do that now, wow, we'll be in deep trouble. I mean, TikTok Right, yeah. Okay.
That's about critics. Then maybe we can talk about different schools, say schools from overseas versus the local universities. Because as we know, schools in say AA or Butler, they are more hypothetical in teaching style. The projects, the way they teach is very utopian. But as we can see, I think a lot of local universities, they focus more on submission checklist. It's just like our local authority. You need to have all these floor plans, sections, tick, tick, tick. So maybe review, you can give some view on this as you graduated from Glasgow. And the next question I would like to ask are students from architecture school be prepared for the real world working?
Okay, so like that's what Harry mentioned. A lot of time you know that different university they have different approach. So some of the university they are more technical, like they focus on the technical aspect of the architecture, and for other university they will focus more on the conceptual designs and also push you more on critical thinking. So actually this it depends. It doesn't like have a right or wrong, because in the end different approach will train different type of students. But of course it depends on yourself. Let's say that you cannot take the conceptual because this is not what you interested in, but then your school are meant for this way. So maybe you will find some struggle on it, but I'm pretty sure with time you can try to adapt, because this is what architecture is train you to come up with solution to solve problems. So since the university stage, they have been training students to let you how to solve the issue. So even on this different type of approach, it also says like, for example, because our design is quite subjective, we all know that different people, different opinions, even during the quiz, and also during the final quiz is usually the best time, because you will get quiz from different people, which is the first time that look at your project. So they give the most raw opinion on your project. And unlike normal tutorial, your tutor follow through all your design process, but the final quiz is the part where you will get different criticism. So I'm thinking that the criticism that you get, yeah, it will affect you. Sometimes you think that, oh, I put so many hard work over the project. I spend like the whole month, maybe 3 months time to come out with end product. But in the end, I get criticized for this thing, that thing, and everything. But actually, criticism is criticism. So it means that you just have to think the other way, like, oh, this is a different opinion. Maybe what is you explore in this other way, you will come out with different product. Maybe this is the way that you haven't been to. This is the path that you haven't been to through your design. That's why you have this type of criticism. Of course, it also depends on the critic that provide. Some critic could be wrong. They just come out of nowhere, or they just want to say something. So actually, you yourself will have to be trained to evaluate whether the criticism is it positive or negative, whether does it help on your design process. So that's what I think on between overseas and also local. Also for overseas tutor, I would say they tend to be more nicer. So, but if they are nicer, there's also some downside, because you won't push yourself as hard. So for example, sometimes they will always praise you. Oh, this is very good. This is good. Then you will think that I'm doing good. Okay, next tutorial I will be just relaxed. I'll just do the same thing. But in the end, you did not push yourself as hard. You did not do as much as research. So there's always a pro and con for different type of approach. So in the end, it's like you yourself has to determine whether what is your progress during your design stage. Yeah, just sometimes when the tutor overpraise you, you just not overconfidence and things that you're already at the very last stage. But you still have 1 month away to retreat, so you still have to continue to produce a lot of work.
So we step in a little bit to your career lah. We got to know that you are the best student. So is best student equal to best employee from your perspective? When you first step into the working life.
Okay, so I think this one actually no.
Okay.
It's totally different because as a student, you put your effort in the design progress, but when you're coming out to work in the practice, it's totally different. Of course, you can use your determination, you can use your hard work to transit to the working life, but since you start work, you won't do too much thing that is similar to your university life. So in university, or you just do design, then go to print, go to tutorial, then maybe go to some lecture. But for working life, the design part is only very tiny, and also probably less important as what in your university. Because in university, your tutor will definitely just look at your design, and then they were like, oh, this one doesn't make sense. Why not you look at this example? Why not you look at that example? Something like that. But in working life, you have to meet the expectation of your client. Then a lot of factors will come in, like budget-wise, cost-wise. Oh, I have to cut down the cost, so I cannot do so many creativity on the project, on the design. So actually in practice, it's very different. So the university and practice, they are definitely producing different expectations. But of course, you yourself, you have to understand this. Because if not, then you will have a different expectation, and you will be disappointed with what it is, what the reality is.
What about Hazimi?
I want to add something.
Right? Because I think he just stepped into the working life about 3 months ago.
Okay,
What is your expectation, and does your satisfaction tally with what you expect?
Okay, I totally agree with him. Talent is just talent. Your attitude determines everything, your work life, because it's like totally different. Because during study we work by your own self. You do everything. You think that it's good enough for you. Very different now. And then talking about just now, he's mentioned about criticism. Actually, I've experienced doing diploma and degree. Diploma, it's actually quite tough, but just don't take it seriously. And then I still got experience. Lecturer konyak balik tu ada. Yeah, during the time is ada. So that things actually it's a good for me because it trained me to be disciplined, very on time person. I've never been late on submission because that time teach me to improve myself during my part 1 in degree. So thanks for my lecturer. And then talking about expectation.
Yeah.
Expectation. Actually, it's very high expectation for fresh graduate that thought that we know everything, right? So for me personally, it's a bit pressure because most of employer thought that, oh, you can do this, you should do this, you should know this. But during school, we don't have any experience on that. So we need time to adapt with the real world. So imagine I take like 5 months or 6 months to get job in Penang. Even I'm the best student pun ambil masa lama. So how about others? So I think it's very difficult because most of company want experience. you have experience, so you can work. So maybe it's a bit difficult for those who fresh graduate like me and others who jump in the real world. And then on expectation, maybe before this I'm doing survey. I'm doing survey on my Instagram since I have followers for architecture student, my friends also. So I take that opportunity before I come in here. I do a survey. I ask them, what's your big problem? Why you quit from architecture? Because in Malaysia we have a lot of talent, but mana habis semua kan? Semua is gone. So I ask them, what's your problem? And then I find out a few problems that I think maybe we need to figure it out later. The first one, I think most of them, the problem is financial problem. Financial problem, they're not happy. They're not happy with their salary. And then they're struggling to put a lot of effort during study, during spend a lot of money. So when you're working, they don't have enough salary. So I think that things need to be figured out. Because at the end of the day, we need to a win-win situation kan. So even one of my close friends, I just share with you guys. They pay her like lower than basic, but she needs to need to handle 3 or 5 projects. It's just an assistant architect doing by their own self. They need to meet client. They need to do their KM drawing by their own self. Actually, it's a good practice for her because during short time she's learned a lot. But for me, it's not fair. Kesian kan? She's work as architect actually. So maybe we need some advice from seniors here. Seniors here. It's new situation. What's supposed to do? Because new generation is very important to replace balik generasi baru akan datang kan for Malaysia. So I think these things, and then from my perspective actually, architecture is a long journey kan. So you need to learn, you need to improve yourself, you need to check experience, improve your skill so that you can demand more, and then people can pay you a lot of money. So they just need to sabar, just go with the flow. That's for my perspective lah. But others, maybe they're not seeing this way lah. Yeah. I think.
So talking about expectation, experience, maybe we can ask some of the gentlemen over there, what is the magic number that a young architect can bring up substantial value to a company? The magic number, like how many years of experience is good to bring a substantial value? Like the boss can throw you a project, you can have oversight on that particular project, and you also can be a mentor to lead some of these fresh grads or interns in your company. What is a range of experience?
You're asking for a magic number, is it?
Yeah.
Like years of experience.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it can just any magic number.
Okay.
But I think it depends on experience. Like because after you graduated, you might go into a small firm or a big firm or different kind of practices. So some are more intense and then some are not. So I think everybody's timeline is different. I don't think the number is important, but I think if you can showcase like what have you done over the past over that period of time is more important. So instead of focusing on numbers, probably you can focus on the things that you do, the projects that you completed, and your participation in those projects. So that's what I focus on.
Yeah, I feel like you guys can hear, right? not this right. Okay, when we talk about a magic number, right, it can be anything. It can go from 1 that, okay, I'm sure I've worked, I've taught, I think I've worked for 6, 7 years. I'm sure to a certain degree, someone who has worked for 2 years know some things more than me, right? I'm sure even when I'm 50, right, there are some of these people who are younger than me who will know certain things more than me, right? To me, I mean, throughout my life, right, you need to realize just one thing in life. Two things, right? You need to know where to find your answers if you do not know the answers, right? You won't be expected to know everything, right? Like what Sam was saying, right? When you go in, right, your principal will not expect you to know everything. I mean, at least he shouldn't, right? Shouldn't. But if he does, then it falls on you to know where to find the answer, right? Maybe you don't, right? But maybe your colleague who's worked in a bigger firm does. Alright, you work in a very detail-oriented firm, so you're not familiar with the submission process. But some of your colleagues who work in a smaller firm might. Right? So there's no magic number per se, but I would say what most companies are looking for, right, especially what you are saying, in the end, it all falls down to numbers, right? You want to be properly remunerated for the hours that you guys put in, right? In my time, we studied for 5 years. Now you guys are doing 3 + 2, right? When you go out, you want to make sure that the compensation that you get from your company is adequate to the amount of hours and effort that you have put in throughout all your studies, right? So, if you feel that within that first year you are not properly compensated, right? So you have that 1 year to make sure at least push up your skill set, make sure that you can get the numbers that you are looking for, right? After you've worked for 1 year, right, you will know how to get the numbers that you are looking for. You will know where the money in the profession is coming from. So you can specialize yourself in that particular field, like if that's what you're looking for. It might be, it might not, it depends on the person. Right? If you're looking for numbers, you will be able to find numbers after you work for a few years. If you're looking for satisfaction, then you focus on that instead.
So as we know, architecture is a slow progression. I mean, the profession itself, we have a lot of sleepless nights, very, how to say, a lot of demanding deadline with the clients, working under high pressure. Any one of you can share with us your personal experience of a very long hours working experience, burnout. Anyone? In practice. Yeah. You have something to say? Okay. Since I mentioned just now, before this I'm working in Veritas KL. But for the first time in my life, architecture firm lah. So I thought my expectation macam, oh, it's the big firm, famous firm. So I have a lot of time to experience, explore, innovate, doing all the stuff lah. And then when I come in, I was like, oh, this is too much, oh my god. I need to handle everything. Everything is rushing, walk through faster, everybody's like, I bet you know, everything is stressed out. And then I realized that, oh my god, this is big things need to adapt for me. It affect my mental actually. My mental health like slowly damaged during that time. And I realized, oh my god, how you become an architect? Is this the way ada cara lain ke? Macam I asking myself lah during that time. So until now I curious how these people handle their mental, how they make it life stable. Because even myself also I need some me time
I need time to go to the gym. I need time to rest. I need sleep. During masa I kerja tu, I tidur pun I was thinking, oh tomorrow what I should do. Oh, your facade is not done yet. Oh my god, the stairs 6 months. 6 months doing stairs. So I need some advice from seniors because I'm still new here, long journey to go. So yeah.
Just like to add something, alright, or maybe you can advise you, right? So after I graduated, right, back then before I worked it was PhD lah. So after I finished my PhD, I went to work, right. I actually am very thankful because my company and my boss is actually very good. Alright, so just to share a little bit, like we work from 9 to 6, right? So by 5:59, we're all ready to go back on. We use punch card, so everyone is ready. Okay, take 6 o'clock. Everyone punch ready. Hey, help me punch, So that is one which I'm thankful of. So of course we have OT and all these things during submission. We'll see. Yeah, but what actually besides that I would like to share is that as for me when I worked at 3 years, right, I found out that actually during my PhD, one of my so-called mentor back in UPM actually told me this one thing, right? Is that every time I doing PhD, so he said, okay, you do from 8, let's say from 8 to 5 p.m. Once you finish doing your research and all these things, close everything. Shut your mind. Go to your family or friends and all these things, and then just enjoy. So it actually helps me after when I graduate, when I work that time. I actually did that. So I just work from 9 to 5, 9 to 6. So once done, okay, I shut off already. I don't want to think. I went out with my wife or anything. Another thing which helps me is during those PhD time, I actually learn and pick up one thing which is doing my work schedule. Like, okay, today I'm going to do literature review, task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, kind of thing. So it actually helps me in my work as well. So I have my planning for maybe the whole week already. So this one, of course, it requires some skills as well, like which you acquire along the way. For example, drafting work, you need some, like you need to get familiarized with all the commands, doing faster and everything. So, and then another thing is that negotiation, how you negotiate with your boss. Like for example, you're given, okay, you have today, tomorrow you have submission for this particular task. Okay, then suddenly tomorrow, so today, another colleague or your senior comes and says, hey, can you help me do this? Then are you going to be like, okay, I help you, then you're going to stress out the whole night, don't need to sleep, everything, or you just, you tell him nicely, oh, it's a fine teacher, tell him nicely that I have some work, I need to do submission tomorrow already. So how can we, so your negotiation skill, like you sort of like push it back to that person, like, no, I have this, and suddenly you want me to have this. So how, then we can discuss together, then see what is the best solution, because we all have limitations. We have some more when we just come out from university, our skills are probably quite limited as well. Yeah, so all these things can actually help us in actually to have a more balance in the life.
And going on what Dr. Chris was saying, right? The one skill that I would say fresh graduates need to have, right, is the ability to say no. Right? If your boss, okay, tomorrow you have, like Dr. Chris said, tomorrow you have to finish up the PT. Boss comes to you at 5. Settle this for me tomorrow morning. Fast me. 90% of the time, most of us will be like, okay, boss, tomorrow then stay back. 11 o'clock, you're supposed to go out, dinner with your girlfriend, suddenly have to cancel, his pace, your pace, everyone is happy. The only person happy is your client, boss. Right? So, I mean, when you're fresh, right, not have this particular skill set yet.
Right. Sometimes I think most of us are willing to do it to a certain extent, right? You understand the limitations of certain projects, right? But obviously it's not healthy to be expected to do it every day, right? The older you get, right, the more you value your time. Right. When your friend get last time I was like, oh okay, 5 o'clock, okay, I still can do it. Oh, 2 a.m. I can still finish the drawing. 5 a.m. still okay. Right. Now the older you get, right, 5 o'clock already, body feels sore, have to go back, pick up your kids, right? Your time becomes more packed, right? So you have to, the one skill that you will need to pick up, right, is if someone asks you, can you do this? If you can, just like particularly, just say no. If they say, how come you cannot do? I have to do this, like okay, I have this schedule for this, this, and this. If you want me to finish by this, get me a draftman. You can ask. Whether your boss gives it to you is a separate matter, but if you feel that you can't do it, right, but your boss needs to, then ask, what I need a drafter. I need one more person on my team to get this stuff done. If you can't, I can't get it done. If your boss asks you to stay back, then it's your negotiation ability comes into play, right? If it becomes a work culture for that particular company, then maybe that particular company is not a suitable fit for you, right? You find what fits for you. But
Yeah, Bendy is a very good boss. Can apply job.
That is about work-life balance. But in your career, how do you actually balance between creativity and say client requirements?
okay, when you talk about creativity, right, Sami mentioned it, right? What you learn for 3 years plus 2, right? So about let's say 5 years, right, is for you to have the ability to do those 5 years worth of design process routine within those 10 minutes you meet up with your client. Right. So your ability to persuade your clients to execute what you feel is in their best interest is a skill set as well. Right? Because you need to remember what is the client looking for. Each client wants different things in a particular project. Some actually would appreciate the design. Some would not. Some are just about speed. Like some projects are just about speed. Some projects are about design. Right? Some projects are just about the financial aspects of development. Some projects are about the design. It's once you work enough years, you realize what the clients are looking for in particular. Right? Then you can put your hours into those projects. Right? Some projects are about speed. Then if you know the clients just particular about speed, right? Then you go for speed. Right? Clients who care about design, then you can spend your design. Not every project, to me, at least to me personally, right? Not every project needs to be an award-winning project. Right? Do you want a small renovation project? One auntie comes and finally wants to renovate the kitchen and extend it. Does it need to be an award-winning project? I don't think so. But another client comes to you, I need a new commercial office, it's going to be my show office. Then put your hours there. The client appreciates it, right? Don't put hours into a project where it's not appreciated. I think that's a good thinking to have.
Right. Have you guys experienced a turn down from the client? Say you have putting in long hours, hard work in the work, and after you presented to them, they totally change the design brief. It does happen a lot of time, right? Do you have any new experience thought on this?
Okay, so this one actually is very similar to what you have in university. Back to the university. So you come up with a design, then you got rejected, or you get slammed down because it's a different thing. So in practice, it's also saying like a client, maybe suddenly they have fresh idea, they know something that can, suddenly they heard some advisor or their friend telling them that, oh, you do this way, you can get better outcome. So suddenly they ask you to come to meeting, then they say that, oh, why not we explore this? So the rest, that one is option 1. Now we are going for option 2. And once you done option 2, they're asking for option 3. So they compare these three options, which one can get the most profit, then they'll go for that option. So I think this is quite common, but the thing is, back to the experience. Once you're experienced enough, then straight away you can advise the client that, oh, actually you don't have to go for this because this thing previously I've experienced before, it won't end up well. Then you show him some proof, some fact that, oh, if you go this, then it end up this one is actually more expensive, or this one is way better than the other one. So something like that. So when you got experience, you can actually cut down all these issues. Without this experience, maybe you're just like, oh, okay, I will do this. Yeah, I will do this for you. Then that's what, like I will say, you will spend a lot of time. Then you got turned down by the client. Then you have to redo the whole new design again. You waste a lot of time, but you got paid the same. So I guess this is quite common because for Malaysia, I mean, at least in Penang, most of the client, they always want to explore the way to get cheapest option and build the most and get the most profit out of it. So once you're experienced enough to know that which option is the best, and then maybe something in the past or some new material come in that you know that, oh, this is the way instead of that, then it helps a lot. That's what I feel.
So I think we move on to the next one, talking about professional networking. Sometimes we just feel like the sense of graduates, architects, or even young architects, the community is just not so established, and also maybe networking between these young architects with the suppliers, builders. We are just doing our part, but there are a lot of time, a lot of communication breakdown between these players in the industries. Have you guys experienced any of this? Say, Unjit?
Sorry, can you, what was the question?
Your experience dealing with the industry players, and is there any communication breakdown?
Breakdowns as in fading, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's quite common in construction, especially because, I mean, if you look at, how do I say this? Because you have the fires every day in construction, like especially in big firms or in hectic firms, like one experience, big or small. If you look at hectic firms, they're usually fighting fires every day because problems arise every day in construction. And from my experience, communication is key in construction or getting a project running. It's not about design, it's not about your content of your work, and actually in construction, because you're dealing with so many people and so many stakeholders. You have so many disputes and problems. So I think for a student or an architect, the most important skill is actually communication. And it leads down to how you manage a project, it leads down to how you carry yourself, how you draw boundaries when you're handling your mental health with your bosses, colleagues. How you get what you want, how you say no, it's all about communication. So it's almost unavoidable to have communication breakdowns in construction. When we deal with engineers, contractors especially, they're not so well versed. They can't speak well. You have to water down your intents, like every day from drawings. They can't do drawing, but usually we have to tell them. So when I was an architect, yeah, it happens every day in communication. You have to constantly talk to people. It's like the major part of the work. Talk to people and make sure that what you want to do doesn't get lost in translation. So I think as long as it doesn't cost money, then it's okay lah. Like you just along the way you learn how to preempt things. You learn how to estimate, predict. You learn how to forecast things and problems, and you try to prevent it from happening. So architects are like forecasters. You sort of learn to look at things, preempt things, and find problems before it happens. Yeah. So I think my biggest communication breakdown was I think it's a construction of a structure. But it's not exactly my problem, but the engineers didn't state or didn't specify the sequence of how they want that structure to be constructed, and then it got constructed, but in the wrong sequence. So I hacked down the whole thing and redo that structure. So it costed money. A bit hoo-ha about that. So that's it's still a normal part of the work. But yeah, along the way we learn how to mitigate things.
Then it comes to collaboration of works. So right now, BEAM is a very hot topic. AI is a very hot topic. So do you think using these technological advancements, tools, will make the breakdown less often?
I think yes. If we're talking about BIM, I think to some I believe I have no experience on BIM, but I think to some extent it carries the possibility or risk of a breakdown to the front part, the preparation part of the design before the construction. I believe that's what it's intended for. So if you do all the preparation studies, we make sure all the intents are congruent before the construction. But I think in construction, things happen. Yeah, it definitely happens. It probably won't happen this way, but it'll happen that way. So I think, yeah, I think I'll look at the architects to talk about it.
I think what same thing, right? Going back to it, right? Architecture, especially in the field of construction, right? It's all about communication, right? Even your architecture drawings, right, is your most basic form of communication, right? Even with BIM, right, we are still dealing with multiple different parties, multiple different stakeholders. To a certain extent, a breakdown of communication is to be expected, right? The one thing that you need to be able to learn is how to rectify the breakdown, right? If it doesn't cost money, there's no issues that you can rectify very easily. But if it costs money, that's where your experience comes in. Certain solutions might not cost money, but certain solutions might not have cost money, right? But it might take experience for you to go, right? So this falls back to you networking. Has anyone else encountered the same issue? How did they rectify it before? Does it really cost money? Does it not? Right. So again, it's all about communication, right? Whenever you go into meetings, for example, right, like arguments are gonna happen between all parties, right? You're gonna argue with the contractor, you're gonna argue with the subcons, you're gonna bang tables. That's part of the experience, right? But the ability to separate work and after work, right? I mean, you can argue during the meeting because that's the whole point, right? You want a successful project, you want the project to be successfully executed. But after work, just go coffee afterwards with the same parties, just like politicians, right? Inside and outside, completely different things, right? You argue because you want the project, right? But if you have a good relationship with all stakeholders, right, you will, how would I say this, right? You will realize different things, right? You will learn different things that you would not have learned if you did not have a good relationship with all the parties before, right? Once you guys work, you will see what I do, right? And going back to about new technologies, right, like AI and everything, right? AI again.
Are you going to be replaced?
I mean, you can argue the same thing during the turn of the Industrial Revolution when machines came in, right? All these operators were making noise. Oh, I'm going to be replaced by machines, right? I'm going to be replaced by all these new mechanical equipment, right? So think of it as a tool, right? AI is basically a tool and it falls back to you how to utilize the tool, right? AI would not take responsibility for signing off on the tool, right? You are taking full responsibility for everything that you are signing off on, everything that you are. So I don't think we have to worry about that soon, right? But maybe the design aspect might be a bit more streamlined with AI, right? But then architecture, it won't die off, but the profession might change. Right? Like all the operators from the Industrial Revolution back then, they shifted more from manual labor into the management portion of the process. Right? So different. Maybe you jump sideways instead of up or down. So,
Maybe from a educator perspective, do you think AI is a threat to the? How do you detect if one student plagiarize? How do you deal with this AI thing?
Some of my students are here. You don't say I don't know. Later they go and do it. No, actually, I do not know. Honestly, I do not know. I mean, of course, I've read some articles and all these things that there are ways to actually detect, like for example, you write an essay, you know, how to detect it. But I honestly I did not go into that yet. All right, but in terms of how AI would affect the industry, this is my own opinion, all right. So I would say that actually it helps a lot in terms of me becoming an architect, right? In terms of, for example, you want to come up with a design of a building, just come up minutes or even maybe seconds, come up one. A few options, you can do it in like half an hour, for example. And I've also heard in China, there's actually plugins for, I don't know, Revit or something, which can help you to draw your working drawing, your submission drawing. I don't know how they do it. I just put in your building or something, then they come out. So you don't need to have drafters already. So it's but yes, it might actually take away some of the job opportunities, or maybe like maybe drafters and so forth. But it would not substitute architects, I would say, because you still need to, like I've mentioned, you still need to put in inputs. Like for example, site analysis. You need to go there and see the site, where's the sun and what's the adjacent building and so forth. You need to put in the system. And then you also need to things like environmental science, like how the wind flows, how a shading device and all these things. Yeah, you might can type, okay, I want a building 4-story, which is a green building. Right, so it come up some design. But if we do not have that knowledge, or if we are not like trained to be an architect, if we're just a layman, we just, okay, this is good. But we as architect, we can think like, this shading device is at the wrong place, for example. The window cannot be too high over here, the sun is coming in, or we need to have some openings here and there. So that is what I foresee, that we are actually still relevant. Yeah, although AI is there, we still need to put in the input, we still have our knowledge to actually to dictate what is the outcome or what is the rendered image of the AI.
So I think for AI, this maybe will take some time to adapt. Because like maybe let's say we go back to 30 years ago, and you can see that very nice sketch over there. 20 years ago, probably all the architects are expected to produce something like that. But then with AutoCAD coming, all the rendering software coming now, okay, myself, I can kind of produce this type of drawing. So it's the same with AI. Maybe in future, rendering and also maybe conceptual stage design, those are by AI. So, I mean, we always evolve together with technology. So, I think it will take time, and also it will take for us to adapt, especially for different generation. Let's say older generation, maybe they will think that, oh, you are cheating because you are not creating something from your mind. You're just typing in and then asking the AI to collect data from the internet and then put together some image for you. So you already shortcut the designing process. But this is what our technology has been evolved into. So I think that this just need time to adapt, and then also it touched a different skill set. Just like what Dr. Chris said, that maybe this skill set can be done by AI, but then you still have to moderate by architect. So you can put more effort by the architect into other portions instead of the conceptual design and spending too much time getting the rendering so nice. Because typically when you do rendering, unless you're very experienced and very expert, you will spend time to test run, then re-render again, and that costs a lot of time. So that's what I feel on this AI topic.
Thanks to you. So, BT, do we still have time?
Yeah.
For question? Maybe we take one or two questions from the stands. If you want to challenge any of the challenges we discussed just now, you can just shout or anything. No? If no, then I think we can.
Can you hear? Actually, I'm today was so the main thing I want today actually try to make a survey because beside my practice beside
You want to mic? Yeah.
Just I'd like to introduce myself. I'm an architect YCE from YCE Architect. So today I joined for this discussion, the group discussion. Actually, I'd like to survey the young people. How are the young people to think about architecture? Besides, I practice as an architect, so I also involved in what we call the external the local public university, several local public universities to be external examiner, panel examiner, and also recently entitled by Polytechnic Goma as an industry practice. So industry practice actually is very important. That's why I need to know what is the direction of architecture in future, especially for the Polytechnic Goma. So I'd like to share because I think I'm the older man in this discussion. I graduated from UTM. At the time I joined with the first year, I'm facing very great problem because it's a cultural shock. I'm from New Village, so that from first year actually I not really understand what is architecture. Then at the one time, I did mention to our decan. I tell the decan saying that I want to quit study because it's really pressure to me. So the decan actually advised to me, saying that actually architecture, actually is a very simple. At that time, he asked me, what is your thinking about, the women? What is your understanding of women? So you can see that, architecture talking about the shape, talking about the space. You can look for the what we call the ladies. You can see that. What is your understanding about the beauty parts of the ladies? So from there, I realized that actually you can see all these other things. So this is I just sharing now. I'm not saying that talking about the ladies all these other things. So from there, I realized that I learned a lot from there, and I think the most important is determination. You have to just like our speaker there. We need to learn, and we need to be very strong ourselves. Since from that, I think second semester, I feel remember second semester of the first year. For my grade B, I mean the design on B, then I managed to get A minus until 6th year, until 6th year. In fact, undergraduate down Best Designer Award, Academic Award, and overall award. When I graduated, I think my mother given me. I remember we have three the best students from mother, graduated from mother from UITM1, then myself and also from USM. So through my experience, nowadays when I share my experience with the students, in fact, our old time when lecturers mentioned to us saying that, design actually is a process. Then the form follow function. During our time, the Kushara said. So when during the process, if you never gone through the function, the function, you have to follow the function. The lecturer was saying that you are wrong. By the time I feel that is my experience when computer come in, then I still remember when I show when I designed the image. I designed the 3D first. Then my lecturer said cannot. Because form follow function. So that time I think we don't have Zaha Hadid yet. Because I believe Zaha Hadid is beyond the function, the design. So recently, I think about 5 years ago today, when I went to the ministry, I will teach my students, I will share my idea with them. If you want to score A, you should beyond the function. So meaning that when you design something, you start with the 3D modeling. Then later on, we come back with the floor plan and the things. Because I'm very strong to do the floor plan. Actually, you also follow the form. Also, we have to create a nice form also. Because why? I always telling our students saying that, for example, if you create the plan first, and you design with the, for example, design the element of the door and window, all these other things. So later on, when you confirm with your plan, say that you confirm already, then you bring the 3D for your clients. Then will be limited your idea, because anything you want to explore from the 2D to the 3D, you have to project it from the 2D out. Then the design element will be limited your exploration. So even during my practice, a lot of my, let's say that we have practical students, I explain to them. I tell them you have to come up with the 3D. Then when you're happy about the 3D, then you come up with the application integration of whole design process. So later on, when he joined with the local university like UTM or UITM, I find out they're very happy. They always come back to my office, sharing with me, saying that, hey boss, thank you so much. This semester I score A minus. Because our thinking is the reverse thinking. So I'm sharing them. Another point, I think our gentleman also mentioned that if you have very excellent, I believe that you have to have a very, very excellent in academic. Do that help you for your practice or working? I very, very strongly believe this. When you are number one, wherever you turn out, later on when you come out, I believe today, if I'm the boss I have interview say that, so many, about 20 or 30 applicants. But first, I will refer, he is the best person. Of course, the attitude is very, very important also. When you excel yourself, you can apply for the scholarship. Definitely scholarship will be support you. And the industry also support you also. Then the client, say the client that when client approach you and you have excellent design skill, say about that. Then how about, let's say you have a few what we call the architect firms. When you compete, actually it's a competing to secure the job. Then you can see that who will get the advantage. Let's say you have a very, very good design skill and you have a very good communication skill. I believe architecture is talking about EQ, and another EQ, another what skill? You must be IQ. You must be having a balance. If you have excellent skill, but you have a very, very poor communication skill, you always compete each other, you always condemn, you always miscommunication with your client. I think architecture, you will be facing what we call the financial problem because you won't get the project. Even for the first place, you already secure the project, but in between, you having the problem with your client. Definitely client asks you to terminate yourself. So I think in terms of the communication skills is very, very important. So I think that's all I would like to share.
Thanks. Thank you, Architect Lee. So I think we will end the first session here, and everyone is welcome out for a refreshment outside. Yeah, and we will come back by 11:30. Okay.
All right. This session we will be discussing the opinions and ideas on the challenges that we had in the first session. And if anyone have any ideas or opinion, please raise your hands up and just share your ideas to the floor anytime. We are ready to catch any new ideas. Without further ado, let me pass the mic to our moderator, Mr. Kai, please.
Okay, thanks, Yushing. So, about solutions and ideas. But of course, we are not here to give you a definite solution for the challenges. But we are just based on the experience of these gentlemen and to give out their personal opinions and ideas, and also we welcome any ideas from the staff. So talk about education. Maybe I'll throw a question to all of you first. If you were given a chance to repeat your education, how would you like to be prepared for the real world? Yeah, like you were given a chance to repeat once again. What do you expect in school? And what kind of programs that you anticipated? And maybe what kind of programs that suit the say the real working life based on your experience? Maybe we start with Dr. Chris.
Wow, this is a very hard question.
Just take it easy.
Yeah, sure. If I were to think like what I've studied, after that went to work, like what I can improve, or during the study time, I think it's probably like the sharing of how is the work outside. Like for example, what is the real practice during? I wish someone can share with me during when I study. Like when I study about, let's say, professional practice, we talk about Borang G lah, setting up a company lah. So during those times, right, when I listen, I just I have to memorize because I have got exam and all these things. So I do not know like how does it where's the whole picture? How's the big picture? Talking about authority, like what is authority? Well, we know we have the local government and all these things, but we do not like all those. After that, when we go to work, okay, we need to submit this one to that department first and all these things. So I think that kind of sharing or that kind of the whole big picture is not there lah. So I would say that is the thing which I think it is for me. If I were to go back, I wish there's someone whom I can ask, or I proactively go and ask the lecturer, like, we have this. How does it fit in the whole picture of the whole journey of an architecture? Yeah, because I have knowledge about this and this and this. I don't know how it works, and probably just forget about it until when the time comes. Correct about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm totally agree with Dr. Chris. Actually, I think in education wise, maybe need to implement a few subjects that focusing on the real world, how works looks like. Maybe handling a real project, just a small project, but you experience this stage like KM drawing, BP, and all these things, so that during study we notice how the flow was lah. Even myself also, I fresh graduate, I don't know all the things. Just theory class, you tak faham 100%. Example, during my diploma, I learned how to do bata in class theory. So just theory. To next week, I do by myself theory. So it's helpful. You bukan setakat belajar from class theory, tapi you ada experience buat amali benda tu. So I think that things can be implemented during our education lah, for better future. The consideration is very important kan. So that is yes.
I have a crazy idea which I thought of. Like for example, if alright, it is possible that whenever a new student coming into study architecture, he or she can be attached to a company, which might not pay him or her, but he can start with a project. I don't know how it works, but this is just a crazy idea. Then he or she will follow from the first year until when he or she grad. So you can see that particular project from the start, at least until probably 3 years, I think can finish build lah. Then from there, whatever he or she learn, they can have a real work experience, kind of thing. Yeah, but of course there are a lot of formalities, a lot of things that are not put into consideration yet. It's just some ideas.
I think it's a good idea as well, right? But you need, to me, it's always one thing, right? Architecture school, right? At least I believe so, right? The mother also is under the impression that whatever you guys are taught architecture school, right, has already fulfilled the basic skill set that you need in architecture, right? The question comes to it, right? Would you remember it? I'll be honest, right? If I were to teach someone about contracts during your second year, by the time you go out and practice, right, you won't remember it. Right? When you will remember it, if you were to actually do it, and when you make a mistake while doing it, you will 100% remember it. I'll be honest, right? Trial, to me, at least to me, trial by fire burns the information into your mind. Right? You can go through theory nicely, you can learn through the concept of it, right? But once you go through it in practice, right, you make mistakes, right? You learn through mistakes, right? Then you will memorize it, right? I have the opportunity to work both, right? I'm in education and I'm in practice as well. So to a certain extent, right? I mean, I was a student back then. I wasn't a good student like Dr. Chris last time. So I was sitting at the back, right? When I went out, I'll be honest, after my 5 years of study, I would say half the information has gone out the other side. my lecturers taught me about G forms, professional practice, different forms of practices, but at that point in time, you have forgotten, right? And after a certain time, after you practice, you don't apply that information, the information becomes less, right? So it all falls down, right? That's not like what Dr. Chris is saying, right? I think that's very good, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that yourself. If any students were to come to a practice, right, and they meet up with the principal saying, can I attach myself to the company? I just come in whenever I'm free, I want to play with you. I can tell you no principal, or I would say nearly no principals would say no. Right. If they were to say no, right, then they're the type of company you wouldn't want to learn from anyway. They will be treated to me like at least those are the kind of companies who are not treating you as someone they want to teach. They are treating you as just a cog in their machine. Right. There is a certain extent that everything in life in the end is a give and take. Right. You want to learn, then you're expected to give something back, but it has to be. I wouldn't say fair. Everyone wants something. Right. Sometimes you meet people who have a wealth of information, right, but they have no opportunity to get back. Right. Maybe they don't know how, maybe they're short of time. They're just looking for people to teach. Right. So if you feel like you want to go ahead, I mean, again, it comes back down to communication, right? Just talk. There's a few architects here. If you're involved yourself in time events like this one, right? Meet architect, I want to meet up if you can after a few hours, let's meet up, join him. He's more than willing to share, meet up over coffee. It's good. And all architects are very friendly.
Yeah, it shows that FLD is a good boss.
Many says that architecture and education prepare you with broad range of skill sets. So I think maybe Wing Jin, can you share with us, because we knew that you are excel in architectural photography. Do you have any advice to the audience? How, other than architectural consultancy, other than being a project architect?
I would say, if I look at my peers when I was in school, I think most in school, right, when you're with a bunch of people, you compare yourself to other people, right, and there are a range of students, and some students are better at design, they have more sense, they can do beautiful things, and some of the other students, they can't do design very nice, very good, and they're strong at other things. So I think in school, I would say the best thing that you can't control the environment, right? You can't control what the lecturers want to do or what the industry wants to do, but I think the best thing that a person can do for himself or herself is, if you think that you're lacking at certain parts of your skills as a student or as a person compared to your peers, try to find your own thing. Don't fit into the brief. Try to find other things that you can do better than other people and try to tackle on that. And then develop it as a person over that 5 years or 3 years. And I find back then my friends, some of them are not good at design. They can do drafting very well, but they just can't design. They just can't do beautiful things. But whatever they do, it's just ugly. And they go through all those 3-5 years, grueling 5 years, and then they just lost all confidence. And they just thought, oh, maybe I'm just not made for this or for architecture. But so I think that's kind of sad as a student. You go through all those 5 years very lonely, and thinking that yourself is not good. Like bad students, good designs, but there are also other people down that line that are struggling. So I think when you come up to work, you'll find that there are actually a lot more areas in architecture that we can advance in, and you can pick and choose and cover. a path for yourself. So it's not, you know, it's not so, like, it's a very wide field. So I think that if I were to repeat my education, I would try to leverage more on my own interests and my skills, and try not to fit into the brief so much, and just do whatever I like. Just do. And it will flourish when you come back to work.
Talking about say internship, just now Dr. Chris and architect Afandi mentioned that companies welcome interns. But do you think mentorship is very important for the company to look after these interns? Because a lot of time, even in my company, I see a lot of interns coming in and they were thrown piles of projects, drawings, just to sit in the office and from 9 to 5, every day repeating the same thing. Do you think mentorship is important and we should have done that more often?
I think mentorship is very important. I had the good opportunity of having a very good mentor. And I think Kai knows him as well. Alright. So again, like I was saying, right, it depends on the company, right? Each company has different values. Each principal has their own values that is reflected in the company, right? I would say after you work in a particular practice for 2 to 3 years, not even 2 3 years, right? Within 2-3 months, you will be able to see your path in the company, right? Like you're saying, an intern, right? You know, if you're interning there 1 week, right? I mean, intern is a separate thing, right? You're stuck there more or less for 3 months, right? So you know that if this kind of company, if intern, I'm expected to do this, right? If I go out after my part 1, I'm most probably going to be doing this, right? So now you know what you want. Are you the kind of person who is happy doing that? Because I know people who are happy doing that, right? You go in at 9, you have your assigned task, you do your task, 5, end of the day, you have done your work, right? If it's too much, you call your boss, I cannot finish this within the given period of time, right? Some people are happy doing that, there's nothing wrong. But if you're happy doing that, it's fine. But some people want more, maybe you want to go ahead for your part 3. So you don't want to just sit in the office, right? Maybe you don't want to sit in the office, you want to go out, you want to go out the site. Maybe you want to focus more on management, right? So in the end, what are you looking for, right? So if you know, I think a mentor again, right? A company is going to directly tie to a mentor, right? What values do they place? That's the values of that company. For example, in my case, I was in education for a few years, right? Then I went up with the specific idea in mind of I wanted to get my part 3 done, right? So I went up, I told my mentor, this is what I wanted to get done. He said, it's okay, I'll give you projects, make sure that you are able to complete that as soon as you can, which he did, right? If I were to go and ask, I don't want to do anything, I want to do it at 9, go back at 5, that's what he will ask, he will give you, right? What do you want? You need to know, right? Same thing in design, right? I would say I was not a great design based, right? I was okay, right? Okay to bad. But in the end, I knew that after you've studied for 5 years, right, you know what you're lacking, you know what you're strong with. Within those 5 years, right, is to, some would say, it's to develop your design thinking, right? But it's to develop yourself as well. You need to know what do you want to do after you go out. Do you want to focus on design so you can produce award-winning designs? Do you want to be someone who is able to execute the project that can win awards? Obviously, it's best case scenario is you're able to do both, right? But some people are not able to. Some people might take longer for them to do it, right? So figure out what you want to do while you're studying. It's a good time to explore.
But I understand that you were given a lot of flexibility in doing so, but we have gone through the pandemic, MCO. So, what do you think in the future? How does a office operate
Okay, this is just for me lah.
Yeah.
Alright, this is just for me. Because I have different values than other community because I'm older and of a different generation, right? But I think some of us, most of us, work through the MCO, right? So we realize some things work, some things not, right? For example, in our profession as a whole, right? Given a certain amount of experience, right? We don't actually need to go into the office that much, right? I would say maybe you need to come in once a day. I'm sure some of you who are practicing meet your principal once a day, maybe once a week. He's out getting projects, meeting clients, right? Sometimes you meet them once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, right? So I think even in the States, right, even in Europe, a lot more work, right, has been starting to be implemented in IT, right? And there's no reason that I do not see that model not working for us. Right? But then again, it falls down to the staff. Right? If I'm going to give you independence to work from home, right? You can do whatever you want as long as I know you are doing the work, right? You need to get this done, make sure you get this done at the given amount of time, right? And there's no reason for architecture not to be able to do that, right? Maybe I don't need a large office. I can just meet up with you once a week at my small office, my small home office. I know you can do your task, that's fine. I think that's a better one.
But I still prefer in office. I think it'll be better for everyone.
Because what about in say architectural profession? You based on the nature of our job scope, what do you think?
Maybe remote or in office, right?
Yeah.
I still think in office works better for everyone in general, especially for younger architects. Because I think when you work in an office, you learn from copying others, you learn from looking at what others are doing. So a lot of education are passed down to the younger ones through look and see. They look at what their seniors are doing, how they carry themselves, how they handle meetings, and how they talk, how they draw, how they manage their time. So when you move to remote, everybody's working on their own at their homes. The younger ones are often lost. They're left for themselves. So I think, and construction is still a very brick and mortar industry, right? Everything is physical and concrete. So personally, I would prefer it stays in office, maybe 50-50, but I don't think it's designed for remote. Yeah, you work through the MCO, it works well for those with experiences, it doesn't work well for those the younger architects.
The younger architects will struggle because for you to have independence, right, you need to know what to do. Yeah, right. If you don't know what to do, then you're gonna get like a designer said, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, I think sometimes working from home you require even more long hours
Yes.
of working. Client or your boss chasing after you. So maybe we're back to the challenge of long hours working, burnout culture. How does you guys deal with this kind of working culture? Of course, it's no secret. Architectural profession, you have to work long hours under pressure. But how do you guys personally, how do you guys deal with this kind of situation? Maybe you can give some tips or to the audience.
So back to the working culture. So there's always that guy that wants to prove that they can do more than everyone. That they can do all-nighter and produce everything with a shorter time. So in the end, it's like this is a culture for that office, but maybe it's not the culture for other places. So it all depends on yourself whether you want to be that guy, or you want to learn from that guy, or you want to, that that is not comfortable for you, then you will you have to convince your boss that oh no, actually this one I couldn't do it, I have other plans, have other thing to do, I need more time for this to do like a really completed thing for you, so that it won't disappoint your client, things like that. So you have to manage the expectation of the boss of course, if your whole office, the culture is like that, if you're not doing it, you are like a standalone or you're left over, then maybe you can search for a new company because this might not be the working culture for you. So in the end, it goes back to your own self, whether you think you're suitable for this culture of the office or not. That's what I feel, because a lot of time, when all the stuff they don't overdo it to prove to the boss, then the boss has a certain expectation, or they know that this can be done in 2 days time. That's okay. But let's say there's one guy that proved that, oh, 1 day I can do it in 1 day, then the boss expect everyone to do it in 1 day. So I think this is just the culture of the working life. It happened everywhere, not just in Malaysia, because it's an expectation that you provide to your boss.
How could you improve this kind of any tips?
Maybe you pack up before your stuff.
If we're talking about personally,
Yeah.
like what you can do, if you want to stop spending long hours at your office, find a second job that pays you better than your office job. And you'll stop spending extra hours in the office. Yeah, you'll stop naturally because you now have better things, better things to do in your free hours. You will stop. Yeah, I think that's the most straightforward way. Good advice. But it's hard. It's hard to change the situation because you can't control everybody.
Place more value on yourself. I think it would be the right term. It would be the right place, right? If you want to work, okay, let's put it this way. If I were a business owner, right? If you are willing to work for me until 11 o'clock, you think I would be saying anything? I mean, if I was a good business owner, I'd go home. Right? There are business owners who do that. Right? But there are some who, oh, you're going to work for me for 11, I go home at 5. Right? If you are willing to work until 11, but some are not, right? But you are getting paid the same. I mean, that's a reflection on you, isn't it? You're placing such a low value on yourself that you're willing to work until 11 to do something that the guy who managed to do it would finish doing it at 5. And you're getting paid the same. You have the same responsibility. Right? Place more value on yourself. But if you feel that the office environment isn't working for you, I know it's a utopian scenario. It's not working for me, I just quit. And there are other things you have to take into account, your commitments, your family, and everything like that. The best time for you to learn your values is while you're young and have no commitments. Once you're old like me, you have commitments, it's very hard for you to maneuver yourself into a favorable position. Once you're young, not once you're young, when you're young, right, you have options. You feel like this office isn't working for you, you can go down to KL, find something else to do. That one isn't working, Malaysia isn't working for you, just fly down to Singapore, find something that works. Right? Keep in mind that however hard you work, right, you're working for someone else, not working for yourself. Right? If you want to work until 11 to improve yourself, then that's a separate thing. Right? I think that's what we like. I would say.
Alright, I want to answer that question before. Because looking at the trend now, that where we realize that everyone is doing too much already in this industry, and we try to cut it down and try to be balanced. Hence, the productivity of this industry will go down, not as compared as last time that one people can do 10% job anymore. Instead, one person do one job all now. And looking at this, I mean, the industry will be, I think it will affect everything. Come down to last thing will be the fee that architect collect in the end. Because last time pay one person can do 10 jobs, but now you pay one time can do one job only. That's why all the company also cannot survive anymore. So I would like to know what you guys foresee if all the youngsters now keeping our stand that we do our job only. We won't do extra until like no end one, and how you affect to the industry and in the bigger picture, just not by ourselves. And you are interesting to hear what's the floor, any opinion, please.
Maybe put it in a way that how many projects do you handle right now on hand? Like how do you juggle among these projects? Or
yes. Yeah, so I know like some of the firm they will put the person in charge to handle maybe 6 projects, up to 10 projects. So actually if you really can cope with it, then of course you have to raise up your voice, you have to tell your boss that see I have this meeting here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then probably I left weekend to do the design work, and we still have plenty other things like the documents, meeting minutes to do. So yeah, you have to be. That is what I think. You have to be raised up to your boss that I need more assistance so that I can make sure that all these 6 projects runs better. Or if I don't get enough assistance, then you cannot expect that these 6 projects will run too smoothly. I'm sure that the boss will understand because he's also part of all this process before. So he knows that, of course, when you're put in charge of 6 projects, then you have a lot of meetings to attend. You don't have time to do the drawing, but if the boss here expect you to produce a drawing within a time to meet the expectation of client, then of course this doesn't make sense. So I think that you really have to know your limit, and of course other than that, your skill set. Different people have different skill set. For example, maybe you are really good at drafting, so you can do the drawing faster than other. So you're okay with that. I'm doing like the 5 project drafting, and every week I can finish within my working hour, or maybe just slightly OT a bit, then I'm fine with it. But for others, it's not the same for them. Then back to what Renjing said, you have to know your strength. So you know your strength, I'm pretty sure you can prove it to your boss that your strength is on this portion of the skill and not like the other portion. Then for the portion that you are strong in, of course you will put in full effort, and not just like because now you're a senior, you're handling 6 projects, then you pass all your work to other assistant and you're bullying him like hey, this is project now I pass to you because I'm going to handle the meeting, so all the drawing you do. So you cannot just like pass out, you have to really put in effort and know yourself like, this is my limit, I can do until this, so I pass what I can't do to my assistant. So then this is more healthier.
What I'm asking is actually like, because I found that a lot of young AR now, they're coming out and they keep asking where all the graduates go. They cannot find staff anymore in Penang. They say, went to Singapore already, half my classmates all go to Singapore already. Then, looking at this trend, 10 years down the road, you hardly can find graduate in Malaysia anymore later on. So later on, what will be the result in the end? Like, in this industry, you cannot find any more manpower to do the job, and as a point of view, as an AR, you're the boss in the future and what's the point of view and how it will affect the market, because you cannot find staff anymore, and all developers coming to do for me this good and that, but you cannot find manpower anymore, and those manpower you can find in the end will be you need to pay very high already because they are highly demanded.
That's good.
So I mean, what's the opinion from the?
Let's put it this way, the industry, right? Anything that happens with the industry, any businesses has a mechanism of self-correction, right? It's a simple matter of supply and demand. So like you're saying, right? If 10 years down the line there's less people going out, right? Then those who are still around can demand more, right? whoever's around still, then you ask more. Like if before this, I know it's the same thing, right? People are approaching, I need drafters, I need architects, but no one is around. I mean, you guys know why no one is around in solar, right? A lot more graduates nowadays. Architecture education equips us with many different skill sets so that upon graduation, we are not tied down to just doing architecture, right? We are taught business acumen, we are taught basic design. Some of us can go into fashion design, some of us are going into photography, right? You can go into whatever you want. You have those skill sets, so you are not tied down. And you are taught critical thinking as well, right? So you know that I'm working this much hours. My friend who's doing something else is getting paid the exact same as me. It's not staying back. Then obviously that's the better option, isn't it? So if it's not worth it, just go do it. And there's an issue with there's an issue with whether you think it's worth it to do, right? Even though if it's that's the amount of money you're gonna get, if it's not worth it, then just go do it.
So we are saying that it's a good thing, it's a good trend.
I would say it's a good trend. It's a bigger issue than that we can discuss. Like, we want to talk about this issue, it falls back down to many, many things. We are just the furthest edge of the domino. There's 20, 30 pieces in front of us.
The best case scenario is when the clients or the developer, right, like you said, because there are less people who can handle projects, or architects firm are getting smaller and smaller, let's say, so they cannot handle too many projects. So when best case is when the developer come and find them, this one say no, that one say no, this one that say no, then this one I pay you higher you take the project then the fee everyone go high already.
But talking about manpower, from a education point of view, do you think it's important to say have a course for just for drafter? Because I think a lot of these technical personnel, draftmen are slowly fading out of the industry, and in the current state, we see these graduates, they are trained to be architect, but when they enter office, they are forced to do this drafting works. Do you think it's important, we train them to be draftsmen, or we just solely train them to be an architect, and it's up to them to choose the path whether they want to go to work as a draftsman and I don't want to handle projects, or I will move forward to become a project architect. Because I think this is what I see, there is a gap between these draftsmen and graduate architects.
In my opinion, I like during the first session we discussed about AI kind of thing. So I think drafting, it is part of our skill set, but it's not the main thing. Yeah, we have to know certain things like how to draw lines, how's the window line work, and all these things. Yeah, we can have an understanding, but in terms of training draftmen, I am not so sure, because like I mentioned just now, I've heard in China there are some software plug in, they just come out all the drawings in a few clicks kind of thing. So maybe that would be the future. So I would say that probably it's important, but it's not like essential. Okay, I just focus on this draftsman, just drawing or just kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, what architecture education is, it's about training you to be so-called like project manager. You're the one handling everything. So it's not the drafting is just like a small branch, a small part of what we are doing. So I think if to focus on that, I think would be wasted all the education.
But that will make a architect more busy, Say, I'm not sure if you handle projects yourself and you do drafting yourself. A lot of time, I think project architects attend meeting in the morning, afternoon, and go back home at night, you will still do the drafting lah. This is my point of view. Yeah, I'm just curious about are we still having draftmen in the future? Is there a distinguished line between draftman and architect, or architect doing everything? What do you think?
Drafting is a skill set, right? Like what the say that it depends on the manpower, man hours that you have available. Sometimes it cannot be done, right? You have to do drafting yourself because if you work with drafters, right, certain things are lost in translation between you and the drafters, right? It's unfortunate it happens, right? Different persons. So sometimes in the end, it's much more efficient for you to do the drafting yourself. About it happens sometimes. Like it's faster if you do it yourself. Right? So sometimes you take on that responsibility. So, right, certain details, certain information, faster. So I don't think sometimes we have, but there are some works, drafting works that I think can be a lot more special, especially with game. Right? Once game is around, everything just click of a button, everything. If you use Revit, for example, right, everything can come up immediately after. Your tender drawings, even your submission drawings. It's a matter of adopting the technology stuff. I mean, if once let's say you're saying, right, you don't have enough drafters, right? So the industry will have to self-correct itself in such a way that the drawings that we produce, it has to be able to be produced without drafters. It's the same as construction, right? Why are we not adopting IDF? The industry has been around for 10, 20 years because our labor is cheap. Once our labor becomes expensive, what's going to happen? People will adopt IDF. Same thing, what's going to happen now? We have drafters around, so we can do that. Once it's harder to find drafters, industry have to correct itself. We have to do it. So the drawings are going to come up faster. Right? I think that's one.
Any one of you have experience with BIM to share? Anyone from the stairs?
BIM is one thing. Once you've worked with BIM, right, there's a certain sense of scalability for BIM. Right. Sometimes for smaller projects, bungalow projects, right, it's actually not worth it. Right. The man hours that you need to put in to do BIM is not equal to the advantages that you get from it. It's much faster if you can, in the end, you will just use CAD. Right. But for multi-story building, right, high rise, right, the conflict detection abilities of BIM is very nice. Right. You save a lot of money. Right. All the clashes, detection, and everything, the ability that BIM provides is a lot. Okay. It saves a lot of man hours. It front loads all your workload. You don't have to worry so many things on site anymore. Wow, this guy has to pour through the beam because this firefighting pipe has to go through. He has to pour through this slab or whatever. Right? BIM front loads can happen.
But just my personal experience, talking about BIM, because we architects, we are using BIM, but different software with it engineers, and there comes the limitations. When you're trying to do the clash report or whatever coordinations, there is this incompatibility between softwares. So I think there is still some limitation.
It's
the industry has to solve.
Growing pains, I guess, right? It's growing pains of the industry while everyone's sorting itself out. For example, I assume the same thing happened to CAD last time. Sure. Like, it's before our generation, but I assume the same thing happened to CAD last time. Like it got compatibility issues, someone sending the wrong version, right? BIM, I would guess it's the same thing, right? The growing pains of it just have to iron through while the industry and the softwares iron themselves out.
Anything else today? Before we talk about climate change and sustainability, we put it rather casual. What I want to ask is how climate change has directly affect you personally. No?
I migrate all the time.
Huh?
Migrate all the time.
You migrate?
Yeah.
Too hot.
And then because we have been hearing climate change for the past 1 or 2 decades. As an architect, how can we improve the situation based on our expertise? You don't need to have a very big dream about how you want to solve this problem, but as a architect based in Penang, how do you see this issue, and any tips or ideas you want to bring up
I think in
to
regard to
improve
climate
the environment?
approaches, right? I'm sure all of us have been taught about proper approaches to environmental designs, right? But it all comes back to us implementing it as a practice. Sometimes as practice, right, we tend to go for the easiest solution, right? Because you don't want to suck into well, this room is gonna be hot. I use mechanical ventilation. It's unfortunate, but sometimes happens to the best of us, right? When you could have solved it in a much more green manner, right? There's ways, right? But once the good solution, sometimes it's suitable for some, sometimes it's not. Right? Work with what you are given, right? If the opportunity is given, you implement green solutions, right? Come with the environment, right? Then try. At least try lah. Don't go for the easiest solution first, right? Try to solve it sustainably. If you can't, then you have to do it. Right? And it falls down to us persuading clients again in the end, right? Communication, right? I want aircon. You're gonna say no? Obviously you won't say no, but can you persuade them to consider open air concept, open design, open corridor, open office? Right? Can you? You should. You should be able to persuade them. At least you should try lah. If they don't want it, it's their money. Right? But some architects are able to. So why can't you? It falls down to persuade them. Because they don't know better. They hire you to know better. So tell them better.
I would just like to add on with Fendi. I think most of the time when we talk about like sustainability, what's our responsibility as architect, I think most of the time the hindrance is the client, right? Because they talk about money and profits and all these things. Right? So I've seen my boss. Actually, like architect Fendi mentioned, you can counter propose a more green way, but you show the so-called the benefit, of course the benefit and all these things, and also the cost. So if you are able to do that, I think they don't care about benefit. I just the cost. Oh, what's the same? Okay. So I think as an architect, I believe there are ways. Of course, you need it is not an easy way out. You need to put effort, go and do research, go and talk to this supplier, that supplier, how much is it costing and all these things. And then, but once you do it, we are able to actually make a little change here and there. Like, don't use for example, too much glass, because you energy efficiency and all these things. But at the end of the day, we will actually strive into a more green stuff. So it's how we pursue it and how we convince our client.
I think also now with the advancement of technology, we have like IoT, so they can actually collect data that if you're a glass building, then you actually your building is hotter, then you need more aircon, cool it down. Then in the end, your long term maintenance cost for the aircon and everything is higher. So with all this advancement of technology, you can use that to actually prove to client that you see now. Maybe your upfront cost is higher, but maybe down 10 years, actually you save more than what you have now with all the glass and aircon. So
when you talk with clients, right, it all falls back to dollars and cents, right? If you can prove to them by going with the green design, right, you're gonna save 10% of the overall construction cost. They won't say anything, they will adopt your solution straight away. They won't even ask. Say, I use an open design concept over a 10-year period of time. Your operating cost for your M&E is going to be cut by 10%. and then your design is green, you can attract expatriates who enjoy the outdoor heat. Right? You explain it in such a way that it gives them what they want. Right? You do step by step.
Everything's covered already. I think maybe we can take an example from Singapore, how they handle, how they manage to, their government managed to set a certain percentage every project, how they managed to done it, make it happen. Because normally when you creating a certain percentage for green element, then the client will say, who are the mandate that? So maybe need to follow how the Singaporeans. Because when I went there, I think it's a bit different during 10 a.m. in Malaysia, 10 a.m. in Singapore. It's a different environment. We rasa, how to say, I think you will notice that for those who are going to Singapore, we tak rasa too hot sangat. Even the sun.
I think what Azmi mentioned he pointed out one thing which is very important. I think the governing authority has to set certain policies, especially for local government. Like for example, let's say like we're talking about green areas, right? Like let's say currently we are 10%. We need to surrender to become green area. But like for example, the current low carbon society, I mean the 2 or 3 in KL, they just launched that policy. So once that policy is launched by the local government, then the client has to give it. But if that thing just said 10%, you say no, we should be more greens. No, that's 15%. No, I don't want. I want to profit. But once the local government said 20%, then we have to 20%. So I think the governing authorities actually plays an important part as well. So that's why Singapore okay.
So, I think these are bigger pictures, right? But I think if you're looking at still the things that you can do yourself as an architect is when it comes to design, which is to try to minimize wastages and then try to work within limitations. And that as a design practice that I like to use back then is combining solutions. For example, your structural solutions, your architectural solutions, and your theoretical solutions can be combined to one single solution. So you sort of, for example, for conventional, you do structure and then you do walls and then you do finishes. But in designs, you can try to combine all these things into one single element. The structure can function as your architectural elements. You can solve your architectural problems. You can also serve as your finishes. So, like whenever you're designing your project, you can try to practice this in as many areas as possible. It will help the design and it will minimize the things that you use. And then another way is to look at standard sizes and try to work with those limitations. Like for example, a tile, you design something that fully utilize the materials that you're using, so you're minimizing wastages. I think those are actionable things that you can do yourself. So you don't rely on the bigger industry or authority to work things out for you, or to come up with a plan that takes 10 or 20 years. So you can start with these smaller things that you can do as well.
Yeah, I think before we end the session, we take some questions from the stairs. Anyone of you have any questions or anything to share? Hands? No? Okay. So before we end the session, we would actually like to thank COEX Kilang and also Architect May for this wonderful venue. I personally, I like this space very, very much because there are a lot of characters going on out there hear adaptive reuse of this kilang. Maybe we can invite Architect May to have short brief.
Thanks. First of all, thanks, Sam on the chapter for choosing this place as your venue. I think I'm glad to be back to meet up with all the young architects and too old to learn about the But anyway, I think this is interesting. This recalls me a lot of my so-called 20 years old story. Yeah, and then to answer your question, yeah. First of all, I think this is part of a different office and just moved in less than a year. It's our dream office, in fact. Of course, every architect has a dream, but now I think we are not only working on the dream, but we are actually making it realize and see how it works. Because sometimes dream doesn't mean it can work in reality. In fact, I noticed that from what you're sharing before, that I think there's a big gap between what we think of and what is in real life. Most of them, I think, couldn't be solved, but you need to manage it somehow. So in this case, what we do is that our dream is we want to be more engaged, not only to the architectural construction industry, but we want to be more engaged with the community as well as with the nature. Although this is not in the forest, but you can see squirrel running around just now, and you can hear the sound of the rain. You can be very connected to the street. Because just next to this very thin wall is directly a road. You can hear lorry, you can hear cats or whatever. So this is really connected. And within such a short distance, we have tourists walking around, you have everything settled here. I think these gives us a very good connectivity to everything around us. And to me, the role of architect is not only to design a beautiful building, but to us, I think the experience of engaging ourselves, immersing ourselves in this type of so-called real world are much more important. More important than how much the boss paying you. More important than whether you work until 11 o'clock or you work until midnight oil. That's more important than that. So I have to confess that I won't pay my colleague enough, but I hope that I can give them a better environment so that they have no complaint, they have no question about work-life balance, because work is life is work. So this is another reality, and we might need to be thinking out of the box. Doesn't need to be go against reality, because to me, I think I'm the boss. I have to say something. A lot of things I heard, but I can't do anything. I can't do anything because we are part of this ecosystem. So we have to live with it, but somehow we don't give up, but we can manage it. We can manage it. But we may not have answer today, but you have a long career, you have 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. One day you might be able to find some solutions. So keep going, keep fighting, and keep complaining. That's life.
Alright, that's the end. And any more questions and ideas on the share from the stand? Yeah. Let me pass the mic. Oh yeah, sure.
Everything that we have discussed on this forum about overwork and the pay, work-life balance, is it because that we underestimate what is an architecture? Because you see, if we compare our career to the most extreme career, which is a doctor, no medical student complain about, when I study and I'm working, it's different. Because like when we are studying, I ask my classmate or my colleague, I ask, why do you study architecture? They say, I like to draw comics in high school, SMK. I like to draw, I like to see things, I like art colors. But my parents will let me do graphic design. Or my parents think that artist is too not sustainable or something like that. Or I'm not good in mathematics, go for engineering. So I go for architecture because it's a professional career. And then when we are studying in university, the professor say we study movie, we listen to songs, we look at gallery, we go to museum, we study as an artist, we study as an art student. I'm not studying as a project manager or something like that. That's why when we come out, it's so different. Is it because that our society or our educational system or everyone they keep thinking that this is a architecture is I'm just drawing, I'm not thinking about that. I never heard somebody that said because when I'm SMK, I'm a president of a Boy Scout. I like to manage projects, I like to talk to people, so I want to come to architecture and I think that I can talk to a lot of people, I can manage projects. And if this kind of situation is not improving in future or in Malaysia or everywhere, you keep losing a lot of people or manpower in future because after the 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, people start wasted in here. People think that, oh, I actually like to draw, but I don't like to talk to consultant, I don't like to talk to inspector. Then we go back to my side in town, which is graphic design or something like that. It's a very serious issue, I think. Malaysia is facing because people know what architecture is and nobody is telling us.
I think that's the issue overall that a lot of people are saying, right? What society thinks an architect does and what an architect actually does is very different. Right? If you go to some, they think a contractor can do an architect's job. Right? There's the general perception that the weightage between the designing aspect of architecture and the management aspect of architecture is different according to anyone that you ask outside. You ask a practicing architect, then you get your full explanation. But if you ask the general public, oh, architect just sit in the office, just do design the whole day, end of the day, give you perspective, then it's done. Right? But in real life, it's different. Right?
Yeah, for professional career, but people think that it's wrong. Only you know what it is.
Yes, I would say so. In Malaysia, because I would say maybe the general exposure to the public, they don't understand what we do. Right, so it's a matter of slowly we have to try to change and expose about why is architecture important.
But
Architecture.
Take the responsibility of the high school student, oh, how you can choose this, why you can choose this, why you cannot study like that, why you are not. Because there should be someone to take responsibility in this, but nobody, you know.
That's something that I think a lot of educators are trying to slowly instill in the community. Because I think if you look at it in a sense, right, what you are doing now is technically design, but you are not designing just for you. But you're designing for someone else, which is a different effect. Because architecture, right, in the end, it's not a fully arts-based course where you do things for you. Right? You are drawing, right? Graphic design, you're doing it. Maybe graphic design is a bit different, right? In arts, fine art, right? You're doing it for your own self-satisfaction. So you don't mind those long hours, right? But in architecture, you're putting in those long hours in design for someone else, and then you're realizing someone else's design, right? So when you're working with someone, right, it's different. Once you are able to design something and make sure what you've designed by your own two hands, right, and it's built, the satisfaction that I promise you that.
I think everyone, everyone is not, they are just the lucky people, that small percentage that go through all this study and then actually like it, and like mentioned, and we suffer ourselves for 20 years. We stay in this career, but there's a lot of big percentage people, they just wasted their time studying the 5 or 2 or 3 years and then find out that it's not.
To me, I mean personally, the time spent in university, what you learn, I'm of the stream of thought that your time in university doesn't matter what you learn. Right? In university, the pro is more or less a formality for you to develop yourself. Right? You technically, based on the skill set that you've learned, you go up and do something else with the time that you have spent in university, right? Taught you critical thinking, taught you how to self-improve yourself. That's why in architecture, right? This is why architects have to feel like do something like this.
Because architects, right, we have that level of critical thinking to always improve yourself in whatever you do. So, okay, architecture is not working out for you. I'll go do graphic design and do great there.
I'm not doing well in architecture, I go do fashion. I can go do business, I can open up an F&B. Like same thing.
Cannot have the right get money from something I can do. This is the thing. I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like to work 36 hours until I don't like to take later, and I just think, but actually,
For medical, right, I have a few friends who took medicine who are burnt out. I mean, there is those who could not handle craftsmanship. I'm sure if you have friends who studied medic, right, some of them, it's not that they don't okay, it's just that they drop out immediately. They can't handle the hours. But they take something up. In our case, we have a lot more options to take. Right, but if you do medicine, you have to do medicine, but that's what we're taught. In our case, like I was saying, you can do other things.
This is back to go back on to what we have shared about, right? A lot of people do not know what architecture is all about. I think I'm guilty of this too, where some of my friends come and ask me, relatives, hey, what is studying architecture? What is architecture? Then I'm having a hard time to explain to him also. Like, we design also? Yeah, that's the most common answer, right? So I think it is up to all of us here to actually to take the time or to explain to people who are around us, what is architecture all about. We don't just design house, then people, oh okay, architecture design house. Then that person, when he or she has a kid, hey, what's the architecture? Design house, very good. But they don't know the whole picture of it. So I think all of us have the responsibility of really explaining the whole thing about architecture. Thank you.
Yeah, correct. What Better feels mentioned now is correct that everyone of us have the responsibility to publicize architecture, and of course can also play a big role in publicize to the youngsters, because this is like initiative as a graduate members. Thanks to our members here, this is our first event, and we also already planning down the road to approach secondary school to introduce architecture to them. And because we already start to see the trend that people are not knowing what is architecture, and people are stop taking professional practice anymore in the future. Yeah, I mean the youngsters are more into TikTok, YouTubers. They're not going to take architecture anymore. So it might be a problem in the future. So it's time for all the youngsters, or not the young, but also the senior, to approach more youngsters to introduce to them. Yeah, and more questions from the floor, ideas from the share? Yeah, thank you. I think why the scene of architecture has gone so badly is because how the public and how the developer see the values of architect, and how we uphold the values of being an architect. Have you ever pondered, you go to clinic, hospital, you ask for advice, and you see the doctors, and after that, you pay. And you go to a lawyer, they ask you to pay first before they give you advice. That is because, personally, I think that it's related to yourself, something important to you, related to your health, related to time, money. But in architecture, of course, it's related to all these things, but in between, there is still something, building. So, you get what I mean? It's not directly linked to your personal self. So I just want to encourage everyone, just uphold your values, and this is also the objective, the main objective of this event, to engage the community, and I think we can have a better future. And also try to grab hold of these suppliers outside, and they are very helpful. Yeah. Hello, any more? Okay, sir. No more.
Yeah, just for time aside, we also have this World Architecture Day at October, summer October, end of October. So we have also events that not only for architects but also open for public. So we are introducing this group to more people. So if you guys are free, please notice our Instagram and Facebook. We will post it out very soon. During this October time, we have a big event. We happen annually one every year. Alright. So I think we wrap it up. Alright. Thank you, Kai and the panelists for the music forum. And I hope everyone has benefits from today's session.